Well, good morning and welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs on our YouTube channel, Condo Craze and HOAs. I'm Karen Curtis and I'm here again with attorney Eric Glazer from Glazer & Sachs, PA. He is board certified by the Florida Bar and Community Association of Plan Development Law. The firm has attorneys in Fort Lauderdale and Orlando, and we're here each week to answer all your calls and emails or chat box questions about issues that make life in your condo and HOA absolutely crazy from one minute to the next. And we'd love to get our phone lines going early or the YouTube chat. Sometimes people call and also chat the same question. We get to it, though, answering all of your condo and HOA questions, no matter where you are, the state, in the world, in the universe. You can give us a call in the studio toll-free, 717-GLAZER-8. That's 717-GLAZER-8 with a Z, or it makes out to 717-452-9378.
Absolutely. And if you're a fan of the show, don't forget to subscribe to two things. Number one, the Condo Craze and HOA's channel on YouTube, where you don't have to just watch the show live. I can't believe how many people are watching the show after the fact. Hundreds and hundreds, thousands and thousands of people have now watched our previous shows. Very, very flattering. And please don't forget to hit subscribe and like. And, of course, join our Condo Craze email list, because we send out so much information to everybody who signs up on that. By doing so, you get announcements about the show. You get our blog. You get our free seminars, newsletters. And, man, the seminars are... Here they are.
Are they full?
Yeah, it's full, and it's this week. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well,
a lot of fun.
By the way, everybody, don't forget, you can also follow the show on Facebook, TikTok, Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you get your podcasts. And you are looking
all around.
You are looking skinny and tan for your seminars, mister.
But not for a good reason.
Oh.
Let me tell you, this week we could call the show Condo Clinic or HOA Hospital. You know, I was out all week with a stomach flu. And so was Robert, and we are both inching our way back. And now that we're on camera, we're both praying that neither one of us have to make like a mad dash for the restroom while being filmed.
God.
It's going to be embarrassing. So this may just turn into the Karen Curtis show at some point. I'm telling you.
And you ate it out back, and you had what, crab and stuff last night? It's for the first time.
Yeah, didn't like it. Yeah, I love that place, but normally, no. Yesterday was didn't go over too well. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Really?
Instead of being in the transfer portal like the football players, you were in the patient portal.
Right. I was definitely a patient
porta potty.
But let me tell you, it's a good thing that I got sick last week instead of this week.
Oh, man.
Because what a week of education and excitement lies ahead. And I want to remind everybody that this is your last shot to sign up for a great day of education and fun, whether you're in Broward or Tampa. Great week ahead.
Yeah, so that's right. 2 days from today, that would be Tuesday, right?
Yep.
You can take the Condo Craze and HOA's board class certification course at 8:30 in the morning at the L&L Condo and HOA Expo at the Signature Grand. That's the one off 595.
Right in Broward County. Yep.
And it's off University and State Road 84.
Right. Very convenient to get to. And like you said, Karen, we had an absolutely amazing sign-up so far. It's going to be mobbed, quite frankly. I mean, because of all the new laws.
You must love that.
Very flattered. Love it. Love being in front of the crowd. I'm not going to lie. It gives you an idea. We're like a TV show and stuff. Yeah. Getting the hint now?
I get
it. It all goes together.
It's all about you.
It's all about me. My wife tells me that every now and then. I won't lie. But yeah, it's going to be mobbed. Everybody knows you have 90 days to get certified once you get on a condo or HOA board. And if you don't, you're off the board. And by the way, I think everybody understands why it's so incredibly filling up for these particular shows.
New laws.
Everybody understands, yes, you have to learn the new laws, number one. But guess what? It's going to be mandatory.
Yeah.
They understand it. And the classes you take now will count towards the mandatory requirement when that bill becomes a law in July. Yes, it'll count now.
Okay.
The way the current legislation is written, what you take now will count towards the mandatory education requirement.
It hasn't passed yet, but it will.
It hasn't passed, though. Okay. It's sailing.
Oh, good.
So, I'd hate to...
Okay, don't jinx it.
Jinx it, like you said. But if it becomes law, like I think it will, the classes that you take now will comport with the education requirements.
And the ones you're teaching now, they will count.
Okay, they will count.
Perfect.
So it's all good.
And so to sign up, they're not full, are they?
You can still keep signing up. I haven't been told to cut it off
Okay.
yet.
So it's at condocrazeandhoas.com. It's super simple. Condo, Craze, and HOAs, all spelled out, no dots, except for .com.
Yep. As we're saying, the Florida legislature is smack dab in the middle of the 2024 session, and there are many condo and HOA bills that have been filed that we're all trying to, keep you all aware of, right?
Yeah. In fact, Representative Vicki Lopez, Senator Jennifer Bradley, and Senator Jason Pizzo have filed companion bills, HB1021 and SB1178, and these bills leave no doubt that they take aim at community association managers and community association management companies.
No doubt. I'll tell you, in my 32 years of practice, too many times management companies have refused to provide or return copies of the association records after they've been fired, and these new bills address that head on, and they provide specifically that managers and management companies, you have to return all the community association official records that you have in your possession within 20 business days after you're terminated, or receipt of a written request. Failure to timely return all of the official records that they have in their possession to the community association, it creates a rebuttable presumption for failure to comply. Penalties can be suspension of your community association management license or your manager license.
But you don't get a felony indictment like Trump?
No, you don't get that. But this is real. You can be fined up to $1,000 per day.
Oh, Lord.
For up to 10 days, beginning on the 21st day.
And then what happens
they're focusing in on managers now. It's for real.
I mean, after 10 days, then what happens after the fine?
It kicks in on the 20th day. So you're given time to comply, right? You're given time and hey.
But it's long overdue.
No question, it's long overdue. You have no idea how many times I've dealt with this. Unfortunately,
why do people hold on to it?
You get pissed off that you were terminated. You have a problem with somebody on the board, whatever. And I'm not saying, quite frankly, the bigger management companies don't play that game, quite frankly, but a lot of the smaller ones have played that game over the years. And yeah, it is long overdue. And condo associations and HOAs, you can't function without a return of your records. And there's
they should all be on a website anyway, though.
If no question. And by the way,
this should be all moot.
The change in the law, by the way, is going to require right now. Remember,
certain number.
It was originally 500. The website was supposed to apply to 500 condos, and I went up there and I said that's ridiculous. We narrowed it to 150. Well, guess what? There's a bill out there that may lower that number to 25.
Good.
So we keep hounding the legislature year after year, require everybody to put the records on a website, just like you're saying. Well, guess what? You may get your number lowered to 25. But I'll say this, it's going to be a very interesting legislative session coming up, and community association managers and management companies have long had their way in Tallahassee for a long time, for decades. And it seems like there's a couple of new sheriffs in town that are about to change all of that. There's no question. Oh, that's what I'm saying. The Senator Lopez.
Them, yes.
Yeah. Representative
Pizzo.
Lopez and Pizzo. Absolutely. There are some senators, there are some new sheriffs in town that definitely have managing companies and managers in the crosshairs.
Which one owns the condo? There's only one that owns a condo.
Pizzo.
Pizzo, that's why.
Yeah, he's the only one.
It didn't apply to them, so therefore they didn't really think about it, right?
Well, you said it, not me.
Oh.
But let's see what our listeners think. Is it time for management companies to be in the crosshairs of the Florida legislature? Give us a call here in the studio, 717-GLAZER-8. Again, 717-GLAZER-8. That's 717-452-9378. Or drop us a question in the chat box on the YouTube channel. We'll be back right away.
Very large management companies, and there are very small management companies. And I think Affinity sits somewhere in the middle of that, where they are big enough to provide you with all of the back of the house services, the accounting, the infrastructure, the support systems, but small enough to be high touch.
We believe at Affinity that we do the 9 to 5 so that you don't have to do that.
Oh no, an unexpected leak. Jay, you know that's no way to solve a roof problem. Call Best Roofing. We solve roof problems.
We are DMI Paving and Seal Coating, Florida's parking lot experts. We specialize in asphalt paving and repair, including pothole repair, seal coating using JC7 or polytar, concrete curbs, ramps, and walkways, and striping and pavement marking, as well as ADA compliance. We service commercial properties, including homeowners associations, apartment communities, shopping malls, warehouses, stadiums and arenas, and more. Experience is worth more than anything in an industry like ours, and our staff has decades of it. We have specialized equipment for any job, regardless of size, saving you time and money. DMI has a reputable history. We have been in business since 1956. We serve the state of Florida from 6 locations. Let us bid on your next parking lot project. Visit us online at dmipavingandsealcoating.com.
Rimkus Consultants offer the professional expertise to help condominium and cooperative communities provide safe, compliant buildings for their tenants. We have more than 170 Florida licensed engineers and architects who are experienced with local regulations and can assist with Senate Bill 4D compliance. We can help with milestone structural inspections, capital expenditure evaluations, structural integrity reserve studies, and developer transition reports. Focusing on energy, resilience, maintainability, and sustainability, our experts can help with every phase of the building life cycle. For mitigation after a catastrophic event, building restoration, repair and remediation consulting, or Senate Bill 4D inspections, please visit rimkus.com.
2, 1.
Welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs here on our YouTube channel of the same name. And if you'd like to call and ask Eric Glazer, who's board certified in community association law, anything about what's making you nuts, it's 717-GLAZER-8 with a Z, or to spell it out for you, 717-452-9378. It'll ask you your name. Try to enunciate your name because we get all kinds of weird names.
Right, you're not kidding.
The automation doesn't quite understand.
Hey, let's take our first question from the chat box. Kathy and Jim from Zephyr Hills, how are you guys? Question, do all committee meetings have to be open to the membership by law? So I pulled up the statute. Here's what the statute says. Meetings of a committee to take final action, right? Final action on behalf of the board, or to make recommendations to the board regarding the association budget are subject to these paragraphs, to this paragraph, meaning that they're subject to the mandatory posting of meetings, unit owners being allowed to attend the meetings. Meetings of a committee that does not take final action on behalf of the board or make recommendations to the board regarding the association budget are subject to this action unless those meetings are exempt from this section by the bylaws of the association. So the bylaws have to exempt them out. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. Who's our first question of the day by phone?
Robert.
Let's see, we have Sean.
Hey, Sean. Where are you calling from?
Might be a second delay.
Okay.
Sean?
Yes. Hey, how's it going, Eric?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, good. Real quick one. If my board fails to hold an election at the annual meeting, what exactly can you do in an HOA to encourage them to do that without a recall?
Okay, so normally we will tell you that the DBPR has no jurisdiction over HOAs, right? We preach that pretty routinely. The exception to that right? The exception to that is election and
Really?
recall disputes, right?
You're kidding.
Absolutely.
I've done this 15 years. I didn't know that they had some DBPR oversight.
They have jurisdiction over election and recall disputes. So yes,
Wow.
if they fail to hold an election at your annual meeting, your first stop is going to the DBPR, okay? And you can file an arbitration dispute. Now, there are prerequisites to filing that type of an arbitration matter, number one of which you have to give your association a letter in writing explaining what the problem is, why you're angry, and you have to give them the opportunity to correct it. Let's say, so within 10 days, I expect you to renotice the annual election, right? And if they don't do that, you now gave them a chance to correct their mistake. Your next stop, you're going to arbitration. Okay, so yeah, okay, so that's something you can do. It's you don't have to address that by way of a recall like
and
you thought.
it won't be costly because you're going to win.
Unless it's an arbitration, you certainly should win. And if you hire an attorney, you get your attorney's fees and you costs back as well. Your reasonable attorney's fees and costs.
Great.
Okay?
So, okay, I appreciate it, and scratch it from your list.
You got it, Sean.
Okay, thank you.
Who else we
Thank
got,
you,
Robert?
All right.
Let's go to Donna.
Hey, Donna. Where you calling from, Donna?
Or is it Denali?
Hi, Palm Beach.
Oh,
Hey,
Hi,
Palm
guys.
Beach.
How
Thanks
are
for the
you?
call. How are you?
Good. I have a two-part question, but it's related to the same thing. Is it illegal or unethical for a management company to procure votes for material alteration?
No, absolutely not.
Is it a conflict of interest?
No,
It's
absolutely not.
illegal?
No, absolutely not.
So the management company can weigh in on that and influence that?
When you say to assist the board basically in getting the votes for a material alteration, that's routine. For example, if the board wants to make material alterations, and you need a vote of all the members in the community, right, to do it, you need 75% or whatever. The board members are not going to do all that work by themselves. That's exactly why you have a management company, to go make sure everything's mailed out to everybody and everybody has received what they need, like the limited proxy forms to vote. That's routine stuff for a manager. Routine.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actively procuring the votes, speaking to the owners and pushing them to vote yes.
Yeah, I
That's what I'm
don't.
talking about.
Again, if that manager is telling the people in the community why the board wants this done, this is the board's position, then I don't think the manager is doing anything wrong. No, I don't think there's a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's
no conflict of interest.
I was going to say, what are they going to gain?
Right. There's no potential gain for the management company. So I don't think there's any conflict. I think the management company is just parroting what the board wants to get accomplished. That's it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
And the second part of my question is also, are they allowed, there's a lot of owners that don't live in the building. So
Okay.
if people get to vote for people that are running for the board in the election, or when they call the office, they might say to the guy in the office or the girl in the office, who should I vote for? Are they allowed to
Now
advise
that's a different
them
story.
Oh.
That's a totally different story. Okay, two separate and totally distinct questions.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, your manager should definitely not be telling people who to vote for in the election. The answer to that question should always be, I can't give you an opinion on that. You got to do your own homework. You might want to read the biographies that were sent to you in the mail
Right.
of the people who submitted it. But that manager should never, ever be telling people who to vote under any circumstances, period.
Is there a specific statute for that?
There might be something under Chapter 468, which prohibits a manager or management company from doing that. I can't remember offhand, but I will tell you just ethically, they should not be doing anything like that, recommending who you vote for.
Unless it's the president who wanted your management company to be the management company, and you want to keep him on the board.
Right, exactly. And that's why these things
Right.
happen, right? You have a fear that you're
Right.
going to get fired should a
Right.
new board comes in,
Right.
Happens routinely. So what do? You tell people to
Yeah.
vote for the current
Vote for
board,
Stan.
right? So that the current board will retain you because you've been having the board's back for all these years, and you know that if new people get in, you're gone.
Right.
So
So is that illegal then for them to do that?
Again, to me, it's that could be certainly a conflict of
illegal.
interest. Yeah, not criminally right. But do I think it's a conflict of interest? Yes, absolutely.
It's a no-no.
It's a no-no. Yes. Breach of ethics? Yes, I think it is. Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
Thanks, Donna.
Okay, let's see who else we got on the chat board. What are my options? Richard writes in, when a $350,000 construction vendor is not licensed.
Oof.
Oh, there's just so many
Woof.
ways to answer that question. Are board members or management companies liable, particularly if they did pass work for the same management company? Very, very interesting. Let's take half of that question.
Well, if they know they're not licensed,
right,
that's a big problem.
That's a problem if they're recommending people who are not licensed.
And they should check and see the license.
No question. When I get asked as an attorney, hey, can you please review this construction contract or management contract for that matter? First thing I do, first stop, is the DBPR website to see if the company that has this contract, that just gave me this contract, is even licensed. You wouldn't believe how many times my first stop to my client is, I don't need to go further. I just checked. This company is not licensed.
How do people get away with that? Because people don't check.
Because people don't check. This is Florida. So how many times, by the way, this has happened? In Florida, for managers and management companies, it's a two-part license process. Not only does the CAM have to be licensed, right, but the management company itself has to have a separate license to be a management company.
Okay.
You would be surprised how many times I've had to tell my client, well, that manager who you put me in touch with, yes, they're licensed as a CAM. Unfortunately, the company that they work for has no license. So, no, I can't tell you to sign a contract with this company.
Well, forget the CAM. This is a construction vendor.
This is a construction vendor.
Building something. Oh, my gosh.
So
does it have to be ripped down?
So many ways to answer this question, okay? Lots of ways to answer this question. So there are laws in Florida that say, let's say you do work with a vendor, okay, who's unlicensed, and the work requires a license. And that vendor has even completed the work, okay? And they're owed now $100,000, and the job came out beautiful, right?
You don't have to pay them.
Not a dollar.
Because they're not licensed.
Because they're not licensed, correct.
So the contract is null and void.
The contract, it's an illegal contract,
even
absolutely.
though they held up their end,
that's correct.
They're not
they
licensed,
are not
therefore.
allowed to do it, correct. It's an illegal contract.
But what if you paid them and there's a problem with what they did?
They have to give you the money back. They absolutely are not entitled to keep a dollar of that contract money, nothing, and they can't argue unjust enrichment. They can't. There's absolutely no defenses
how do you
available
get
to
the
them.
money back?
Good luck to them.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
was
the
gonna
all-important
say.
question, right?
Yeah.
Getting the money back now, that's a whole different issue, right? They could have taken your couple of $100,000 and are gone with the wind, which happens more times than you would believe. Okay, who else we got, Rob?
Let's go to Barry.
Barry?
Barry.
Oh, Barry. Hey, Barry. Good morning.
Where are you today?
Karen. Hi, Karen. Hi, Eric.
First time caller?
How are you?
How are you? What's going on?
Good. I hope I have the right show because I want to talk about shopping. Is that okay?
Shopping? That's my wife's show.
Oh! Ouch!
Okay, so
what's your item number?
Let me ask my shopping question. So I have a structural integrity reserve study done, and I don't like the results. I think the reserves are going to be way too high.
Yep.
So I shop around, and I want to get a second opinion. Can I do that?
Barry,
that's a good one.
Because Barry asked a question that is going to happen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Mm-hmm. We
okay?
don't like this.
We don't like who is this nut that gave us this mandatory?
We can't pay for this.
Right? Who hired this guy? Forget him. I got a guy.
Yeah,
right? Someone on the board is going to say, I got a guy, and that guy is going to say there's nothing wrong with this building. Barry, that we know that's going to happen, right? But the all-important question is, can that happen, right? So when that it's architect or engineer who's going to do the inspection, does that inspection, that milestone inspection, right? They have an obligation.
Well, first I talked about the SIRS.
SIRS.
After you answer that, I'll get to the milestone
Okay.
inspection.
Now, under, and Barry, maybe you can educate me on this. Under the reserve study, an architect or engineer that does a reserve study, I don't think they have an obligation under the law at this point to submit that reserve study to the building official. Would that be right under the statute?
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's correct.
So that's
correct.
interesting. So now what happens if you don't like your results of the reserve study? Can you say, okay, let's make believe we never got it? Let's leave that question open for a minute. What about if the same thing happens with your milestone inspection, right? The actual inspection of your building to determine what repairs need to be done. And the person comes back and says, well, you need $3 million worth of work. And you say this person's crazy. Let's go get, like I said, another guy I know. What do you do with that first report? And the problem that you have is the architect or engineer had an obligation under the law to take that report and give it to the building official, right? So you can't say, no, forget his report. That guy had an obligation to submit it to the building official. So, you're screwed when it comes to that. Nothing you can do that. You can't pretend that report doesn't exist, because it does, and your building official should already have it. The question is, what about your reserve study?
Well, what happens? I can answer the reserve study question.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah.
The law says that the budget has to be based on the most recent structural integrity reserve study.
Right.
So you actually could go and shop around.
Oh, the most recent.
The reserve study you have to use is the most recent.
Is the most recent
so
one.
That's
the way
actually can be done. The problem with the milestone inspection, and the reason why I asked the question, is engineers are coming back to me and telling me that there's a trend that associations are seeking second opinions all the time on a phase one inspection.
Right.
They are going, and the problem is, even though the first inspection has to go to the local building official, that doesn't mean you can't get a second opinion. And
right.
That has to go to the building official. Then what happens?
Right. I guess the building official, I don't know, would have to come out and make their own determination, or maybe the building official has their own inspector appointed to do it.
It just seems smart to get a couple of them.
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen after a while? And again, Barry, talking from experience here, we're just street smart. Somebody out there is going to get the reputation as being the company that you go to when you want there to be nothing wrong with your building, right? That's right. But you're right. That's going to happen.
And is there anything to deter that company from doing that?
If they're licensed, they can say, this is my professional opinion. I certainly have a problem with, if you don't like your mandatory milestone inspection, you don't like the result of that, and basically pretending that doesn't exist. No, that bothers me a lot. Reserve studies, look, truth is maybe they could be manipulated a little bit by different companies. It doesn't bother me as much as pretending that the mandatory milestone inspection report doesn't exist, and I guess that's why that has to be submitted to the building official. But Barry, what's your take? Do you think the legislature intended for you to shop around if you don't like your reserve study?
It's a very difficult question. I was discussing this at breakfast, and the problem is that I'm not so sure associations need to be bound by some engineer or whatever who does a shoddy job.
And plus, most recent, that language.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, on the milestone inspection, you may very well have associations. It's not a situation where they think the first inspection was totally incorrect or shoddy or whatever. You may have a situation where they're just going for they say, look, we don't think we need concrete restoration. We want to get we don't want to spend $10 million. We only want to spend $5 million. Right. And so I think it's people like you, Eric, that are going to get these questions.
Yeah.
The condo bar is going to have to answer that.
And things are just going to, seek its level,
they will.
After a period of time.
It's all new.
We're fighting about, what year does the reserves actually kick in? Is it 2025? Is it 2026? And there's all kinds of disputes about that. I actually almost can't wait to get to 2026.
Yeah.
So we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Right.
And at least everything is going to start, and let's see what happens. But the truth is, it's going to take till 2033, 2030 for
Everything,
to
the dust
figure
to
out right
settle.
for the dust to settle, for buildings to figure out what they could afford, what they can't afford, for developers to come in and take over many a building.
But you fought for this.
Yeah, it's
You
gonna
fought
be,
for this after, the
I didn't want any
collapse.
more buildings to fall.
That's right.
That's the bottom line. And I
It's going to
certainly
be painful.
couldn't. Again, I always tell the story when I went to a meeting in Sunrise of a 55 and over community, and we were there just for a $300 special assessment. $300, that's it. Okay, and I had old ladies coming up to me crying, saying, "Please don't let them pass this $300 special assessment." And I'm like, "Wow, is Florida in trouble? $300 special assessment? You're crying? What about $3,000 or $30,000 that's coming up?"
I think more than half the country can't afford $300 right now.
No, exactly. People live in paycheck
Yeah.
to paycheck. Barry, thanks for your stimulating conversation, like always. Barry sees it like it is.
Yeah,
What all lies ahead. It's
He
gonna
does.
be. It's gonna be a wild ride. There's no doubt.
Yeah, all I can say, Karen, is that legitimately was a shopping question.
Yeah. Yes, it was. There's something about your reserve study, Barry. Thanks, like always. Let's do this. Let's take our bottom of the hour break. Keep the calls coming in. Keep the questions on the chat box coming in. 717 Glazer 8, or again, drop us a question in the chat box on YouTube. Back right after this.
The future of fiber is here. QXC Communications is a fiber network engineering firm based in Boca Raton. We build fiber networks that deliver high-speed internet, Wi-Fi, HDTV, and voice services, primarily to Florida's condominium communities. QXC's AON architecture is the industry's best practice and a game changer for our customers. We run 2 dedicated fibers to each unit. No splitters, no cables. So, every resident gets uninterrupted blazing fast speed and military-grade data security. Our Wi-Fi 6 network deployment powers performance on multiple devices with no dead zones. And the QXC TV app makes everyday programming access a breeze with 3-day rewind and optional cloud DVR. QXC AON Fiber is where the industry is heading. Get connected today.
Is your condominium or HOA in need of accounting services? Look no further. Gerstle, Rosen & Goldenberg is one of South Florida's largest accounting and auditing firms, as recognized by the South Florida Business Journal, and is one of the few accounting firms uniquely specialized to provide accounting services to their growing condominium and homeowner association clientele throughout Florida. With primary offices in Aventura and Boca Raton, satellite offices in Naples and Orlando, and a professional staff of 65, Gerstle, Rosen & Goldenberg is prepared to meet the needs of any condominium or HOA in the state. The professionals at Gerstle, Rosen & Goldenberg also have experience working with timeshares, cooperatives, hotel condominiums, mixed-use buildings, and ancillary operations like restaurants, spas, and country clubs. Put their 25 years experience in your corner. Gerstle, Rosen & Goldenberg, 305-937-0116. That's 305-937-0116 or grgcpa.com.
Someday, you will need insurance. And for that day, you'll be glad you wrote down Insurco Insurance and Financial Services. Why? Because Insurco virtually insures everything. They're a full-line insurance agency that'll put together the best possible coverage and premium for almost anything. Need homeowners or condo insurance? Call Insurco. Need auto or motorcycle insurance? Call Insurco. How about golf cart insurance or trailer and RV insurance? Just call Insurco for a free quote. They're open every day. From renters insurance, officers and directors insurance, and personal liability umbrellas to all types of business insurance, boat insurance, cancer policies, life, health, and annuities. All you need is Insurco. Get a free quote. They service Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. Speak English and Spanish. Insurco Insurance and Financial Services. It's the only name you need. Office at 14401 West Sunrise Boulevard in Sunrise, inside Edmore Chevrolet.
Call 954-846-1206. 954-846-1206. That's 954-846-1206.
All over the world, people have plumbing problems. These problems can be expensive and destructive to fix. Have you ever wondered if there was a way to take care of your plumbing problems without destruction and an outrageous price tag? Welcome to Pipelining Technologies, Inc. where we specialize in fixing your problems without demolition and minimum cutting by means of pipelining. Pipelining is the ability to take a pipe damaged by root intrusion or long-term deterioration and make it new by means of inserting an epoxy-saturated liner into the pipe and allowing it to harden or cure, leaving behind a brand new pipe.
That sounds great. How can I get pipelining in my home, commercial building, or condominium?
Simply fill out our online contact form and a pipelining representative will get in touch with you in a timely fashion, or call us directly at 561-853-5463.
Welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs on our Condo Craze and HOAs YouTube channel, also on all platforms carrying podcasts. And we have several callers that are waiting, but if you want to call in, 717 Glazer with a Z8, that's 717-452-9378. Ask any questions about condos or HOAs.
You know what? Before we go to the phones, some good questions on our chat box. Daniel writes in, doesn't the HOA need to have a quorum to have an election, and annual meetings without a quorum, the board rolls over? Okay. Some new law on that, and it's based upon a case that I actually won in arbitration a couple years ago. But without talking about the case forever, because it's a long case, the answer is yes, in an HOA, you need to have a quorum in order to have an election, okay? But suppose you don't need that election. Do you still need a quorum? For example, let's say that the HOA does things the way that the condo does, okay? They say, okay, guys, submit your names if you want to be a candidate, right? And we'll take only the names where people submit their names. Only the candidates where people have submitted their names. And let's say there's 5 seats open, right? And 3 people submit their names in the HOA for the 5 seats. And you go to the annual meeting in your HOA, and you don't get a quorum. Your board cannot come out and say, no quorum, therefore we roll over, because you would say, wait a minute, there's no election that's necessary here. Only 3 people submitted their name for 5 seats. No election is necessary. Since no election is necessary, no quorum is needed today,
So,
and
no
we're the
rollover.
3 new we're the
Right.
3 new members of the board. No rollover. And so I won that issue, right? But another interesting issue that came out of that case was the arbitrator said, I want to know what happened last year. And basically the same thing happened, and these were staggered boards, right? Staggered terms. So if you get on, technically it's a 2-year term. And the board rolled over last year. So what about this year? The arbitrator said in Florida, there's no such thing as rolling over for 2 years. Even though you think you're rolling over for a 2-year term, because they're staggered
You
terms.
just roll over once.
You can only roll over for 1 year, even though you think it's staggered terms and you're taking a 2-year spot. No such thing. So those people who think they rolled over, did they submit their names to be a candidate
so
this
that's
year?
a mistake.
That's a mistake. The answer is no, they didn't. Sorry, those 3 people, they're the board. I won it with 1 person. My one client
way.
turned out to be the only member of a 7-member board.
Oh, my
And that's
goodness.
what started all this. Okay?
Is that possible to have 1 member on a board?
And she got to appoint the other 6.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
All right, back to the phones. Who we got, Rob?
Wow, talk about power.
Yeah.
Let's go to Janet in Pompano Beach.
Hey, Janet.
Hello?
Janet, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Oh, okay, finally. Oh, hi, Eric. Okay, so I know I'm not the only one in this situation. I know there's a lot of condos having issues, but in our complex, we have a multitude of problems that stem from our board of directors and equities.
You're the only one. I'm sorry to tell you, you are the only one in this situation.
I'm not the only one. But there was a point I'm going to get to. Okay, so, like, for instance, like our board selects a company and materials for a new roof without getting any bids. They select paint colors for all the units without getting a vote of the community, and there was no vote for the roofs. They hired a company
Let's
to replace our
stop.
gutters.
You go, because I'm not going to be able to
What's that?
remember all of this. Hold on. Let's talk about the fact that they failed to get competitive bids, okay? That's
Okay,
a violation
okay.
of the statute, just to remind everybody. You got to get competitive bids in a condominium if what you're
Okay.
buying costs at least 5% of your budget, in an HOA at least 10% of your budget. So there's the first violation. Next, you said they made colors, right? In an HOA,
Yes.
they decided what the colors of the roofs were going to be. Now, that's typically left open to your architectural review committee, an ARC, right? And they have typically under the governing documents, they have full reign to decide what colors are going to be used in the community, okay? So potentially nothing wrong there. Next.
The colors, paint colors of the doors in the building
Okay.
with a no vote.
Now, is this
of
a condo?
colors?
Hold on, this is a condo or an HOA?
The condo.
Okay, so then we got to.
Condominium.
Okay, so now we got to go back. Changing colors, right? Changing colors in a condo. Okay, we got to, again, we want to teach this show from a condo and an HOA perspective. If you're changing colors of things in a condo, like the doors, like the color of the building, right? Clearly,
Yeah.
that's a material alteration. Clearly, right? And you have to see what your governing documents say. Do the governing
All right.
documents give the board the authority to do this without a vote of the community? Most of the time, absolutely not. Okay? It requires a vote of the community. It could be a majority, and it's normally 75%. And if the docs are silent on material alterations, it requires a 75% vote.
5%. Okay,
Okay,
our
yes.
docs are so old from the 70s, and we can't even understand them, but I will look through them once again.
They
Gotcha.
may be null
Okay,
and
another
void.
thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Your docs could be, if they're
Well,
that old and you haven't redone
Well, this is
them.
an HOA, so we're good.
Oh, I
They
thought you
didn't
said it was a
expire.
condo.
This-
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. It's a condo. It would have
it's a
expired
condo.
if it's in an HOA. What, it's in a
Oh,
condo?
condo.
Yeah,
Okay.
after 30 years, they could be gone. We got to remember that there's just so many topics
Oh
that
my
come up one
gosh.
after the other. But in a condo, you're good. Okay, go
so-
ahead.
All right. So another thing, they hire a company to replace our gutters, okay, which we didn't really need. But while the workers were working, one of the board members approached one of the workers and said, "Hey, by the way, we need our wooden trellises replaced. And do you think you could do this work?" Well, that is not in their scope of work. It's not in their line of work. But nevertheless, the man said, "Oh, yes."
Oh.
Well, somehow the city was made aware of the work being done without permits because this company had no clue how to replace wooden trellises or what kind of materials to use. Well, consequently, fines were imposed on our community that greatly increased our maintenance fees. It put liens on all our units, which I think prevents us from selling our units. But this is the second time this has happened. Okay, I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with this. What to do about it?
Let's stop there for a second, okay? The company that is doing the work and decided to do the trellis work, why didn't they get a permit? Number one, were they qualified
They're
to
not
get a
licensed
permit?
to do the trellis.
If they weren't, then they were never allowed to pull the permit, obviously. And
Right.
I'd certainly want that company to be responsible for the fines that are
Thank
accruing
you.
with the city, not the unit owners.
Okay.
You should be going after them, full steam ahead. Period. And
Well,
I
that sounds like good advice.
yeah,
Okay,
the
glad I
board should
mentioned
be
it.
doing
Okay.
that, no question. Yeah, but we
Another
got to
thing
cut
that
it
we
short.
found out-
Really quick. Last question.
Yes. We have a unique condo complex. We have two different types of buildings. And what we just found out recently, after me living there for 5 years, that we're supposed to have two different management companies and two different boards
Okay.
and like two different sets of books.
Right.
And we don't have that.
Oh.
So
Okay.
what? I don't even know.
Here.
Well, it's never too late, and sometimes this does happen, right? You don't realize, some
So there
board
needs to be a master
previously-
board?
It could be potentially one master board and two subboards, right? That could be happening, or for some reason,
Or can you just change the docs to say one board of work?
that's going to be hard. That's
Oh.
harder. But if you're telling me you're violating the way your documents should be run, the way your community should be run, you should be two separate condominiums. That's what is it?
Right.
Two separate condominiums with one association? But you're saying two different management companies.
It's one association, but it's supposed to have two different boards.
Two different
boards and
budgets.
Two different sets of books.
So you could be in what's called a multi-condominium under Florida law, where there's one association, but there's two different condominiums or more, each one needing to have their own sets of books, their own budget. Okay, that's a multi-condominium that you're probably talking about. And yes, a lot of times that situation will present itself in my office.
This is why board members need to be educated.
Especially on multi-condominiums. The worst thing ever created in Florida, quite frankly. Very, very confusing. But yes, you need two separate books, two separate budgets, two separate votes on whether or not you want to waive reserves, etc. But you can still have one association, one board.
We don't have that. What I'm saying is we don't have that.
I understand.
We never had that.
It's never too late. And I can tell you, if you file a complaint with the DBPR, they will tell you it's never too late. They will tell you that moving forward, you got to comply with the law. Okay?
Okay. You mentioned something about 2-year terms real quickly. I didn't understand that. Do we have 3 board members that have 2-year terms and we can never get them off? So you said they cannot roll over?
More than once.
Under the law, if there's no election and they roll over, it's for a 1-year term. You cannot roll over for anything longer than 1 year.
Okay.
And on that note, we got to take our final break of the hour.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
be well. Keep the calls coming in until the last minute. 717 Glazer 8. We'll be back right after this.
Home or condo looking old, worn out, and in need of a fresh look? Then you need PD Painting to paint your property and make it look like new again. PD Painting will first properly prepare your home and condo and then use only the highest quality paint products. After many years in the painting industry, PD Painting has achieved a reputation for always delivering a reliable and professional finish. PD Painting is fully licensed and insured and offers a 7 to 10-year warranty. Their technicians are expert craftsmen. Let PD Painting handle all the details and then sit back and watch them restore your property and bring back that brand new look and feel. Need a service call? PD Painting will be there on the spot. Need financing? PD Painting can offer that too. Call PD Painting at 888-416-3204. Again, that's 888-416-3204. Go to the website pdpaintinginc.com. Need painting done in your home and community? Contact the experts at PD Painting.
This message is for anyone who has taken on the important responsibility of becoming an officer or director in a homeowner or condominium association. It is also for the management companies who work closely with these caring people to make sure things are done the right way. Hello, I'm Gil Pomar, South Florida Regional President for Center State Bank, now the second largest bank based in Florida. Our bank, Center State Bank, has an amazing team of professionals who are exclusively dedicated to the homeowner and condo association market. Your job is not easy. There are repairs and new projects that need financing. There are legal and social issues that need to be understood. There are also technology and servicing issues that your residents want to be improved. Why not choose a bank that knows this business backward and forward? Why not have a local banker who will meet with you face-to-face whenever it is convenient for you or your board? Center State Bank has over 2,000 associations as customers for a reason. Please give us a chance to earn your business. Call Terry Russo at 954-633-1666 to make it happen. Center State Bank is an equal housing lender and a member of the FDIC.
Need an insurance evaluation, audit, or quotation for your condo association or homeowners association? If so, then you need to speak with our insurance experts at Mack & Waltz. We insure over 800 associations, and we are the clear leader in this marketplace. Mack & Waltz has been in business since 1989. We write insurance on billions of dollars of property values. We are an independent insurance agency representing insurance companies which specialize in condo and HOA insurance. The staff at Mack & Waltz works closely with board members and property managers and regularly attends association meetings to help educate the association about their insurance policies. To learn more about how Mack & Waltz can save you money and improve your insurance program, call now 954-640-6225 and ask for Greg Waltz. 954-640-6225. Mack & Waltz Insurance Group. Let us protect your association. And we're back to our final segment of Condo Craze and HOAs on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like and ring the bell because we love hearing that bell.
Absolutely.
And we're also on Instagram as well, by the way.
Yeah, everybody, thanks for the comments that I get in email all the time telling us how you like the format on YouTube. We really, really appreciate
Slick, and
it.
then you can put stuff up and show the law.
Love it. Love it. Very relaxed atmosphere, too. How about go back to the phones, Rob? Who do we got?
Let's go to Lexus.
Lexus. Are you there? Lexus.
Yes, hello?
Hey, how are you? This is Lexus.
Good. Good question. First of all, thank you guys for everything. I just wanted to clarify. We're coming up on elections where our board members are telling us we cannot have meetings as owners, and which my understanding is that it violates the First Amendment rights. And in the second notice, they do not provide any candidacy information from the candidates, not in alphabetical order. And we're within less than 3 weeks from elections. What would happen if the property manager and the board do not fix these issues? And because they just increased the dues, so a lot of people won't even qualify to vote.
Okay, so hold on.
So it's a combination of things.
So let's talk about two things. Number one, there's no requirement under the law that when people run, that they have to submit their resume, that they have to submit their background. Okay, that's up to the people who are running. That's their choice. Is this a condo or an HOA, by the way?
It's a condo, but all of the candidates submitted. It's just that the property manager did not include the submitted.
Okay, now that's a different story. Guess what? If it's too late to now send out that second notice in time, right? New election. The law is really clear on that, okay? If it's now too late, if the manager screwed up by not including the resumes of everybody, right? And it's now within 14 days of the date of the annual meeting, meaning it's too late to now fix the problem, new election, okay?
The problem is that that's what they want. They want to have a new election. They want to postpone it because we're supposed to have elections last year.
Yeah.
So we never had elections for last year. So it's convenient for them to postpone these elections, not for the owners who are going through this.
Yeah, I hear you, but does that group have representation by council?
No. That's the issue.
Yeah,
it's very expensive. We went from $200 to almost $600 in a month.
Yeah, I hear you, and that's everybody's story when it comes to condominiums. That doesn't mean that, stealing money or they're spending money wildly. This is what it is in a condominium now in Florida, to go from $200 to $600. That's the way it is. In all candor, $200 sounds like a ridiculously silly number, and it never should have been $200 to begin with. That's far too low for a condo budget in a building.
That was including reserves, by the way. I'm sorry.
And that was including reserves.
That was including reserves.
Right, and 3 meals a day.
Oh, man.
Right? I mean, how ridiculous is
Where's
that?
the money?
Yeah.
Where's the money? That's the question. Where's the money?
What?
It's kind of interesting because if you don't live in a condo or an HOA and you're in a subdivision, you're paying your taxes, and the city takes care of all this stuff.
Right. A lot of it, yes.
Right? So, but you take care of your own
not the
yard.
landscaping,
right.
stuff
You do your
like that.
own yard then.
Right, but the city paves the roads in a lot
Right.
of situations. Yeah, like where I live, absolutely. But hope that answers your question, buddy. We got to go to the next caller. Who do we got, Rob?
We will go to Charlene.
Charlene, how are you, Charlene?
No, it's Sam.
Oh, Sam.
How do you go from Charlene to Sam? Okay.
Where do you live,
It's
Sam?
in her name.
Okay. How are you, Sam?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's the email.
Sam,
address.
where are you?
Eric.
Wait,
Tampa
hold on.
Bay,
Where are you calling from?
Tampa Bay area.
Okay, we're going to be there Friday. I hope you're showing up.
I'm already registered.
There you go. There you go. Okay, how can I help? Now I'll answer your question.
Okay. Now, related to the community association managers topic, how does the community overcome retaining? Excuse me. How do you overcome the board of directors keeping or retaining the manager, or the association community property management company, is there a procedure to submit to the board on behalf of the community owners that are not pleased with the services of the CAM, or to get out of the contract now over 12 years old?
Oh, wow. Okay.
What procedures?
There is no specific procedure to voice your grievance other than showing up at meetings and voicing your grievance. In other words, you don't get to sign a petition, and if you hit a certain number of signatures, the manager's automatically fired. It does not work that way. The board still needs to vote to terminate the management company. And, you put political pressure on the board. If you don't fire the management company, we're not going to reelect you, like anything else. However, I don't know what that management company contract says, right? A lot of times a new board will come in, and they'll come to my office and say, the first thing we want to do is we want to get rid of the management company. And I'll say, okay, let me see the management company contract. And that management company contract has another 2 years left on it. And there's no cancellation clause before then. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I can't get you out. And sometimes, what the board does when they know they're going to lose, right? When they can certainly feel the political pressure, feel the political heat, they sign a brand new management company contract just before they're out of office. So the management company gets to stay another 2-3 years. So I don't know what that management contract says, and I don't know if you can fire them, even if you and your buddies were elected. Okay, so you got to get a copy of that contract. We need to see what that contract says. Yeah, and the only thing you can do is complain, go to meetings. Can you put petitions in writing? Sure. Does it have any legal effect? No, none whatsoever. Okay?
I was under the impression that if you had a certain percentage of owners, you could request the subject be brought up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't think that, I didn't understand that maybe that's what you were asking. But sure, you get 20% of the population, of the members, to ask that something be put on the agenda. Yes, you can force that that it's talked about on the agenda at a meeting, right? But that doesn't mean that you still haven't done anything other than get the board to talk about it. In other words, you still can't fire the management company by a vote of the community. The only thing you can do is get the board to talk about it. Okay?
So someone's asking you, what is...
You've answered the question.
Thank you very much. See you Friday.
What's the law regarding how often a reserve study must be done for a condo association?
So the reserve study, when this goes through, is going to have to be done once every 10 years. Okay? The reserve study is going to have to be done once every 10 years, the structural integrity reserve study. I was talking to a friend of my son's that came over last night, and I said, where do you go to school? He says, I'm studying to be an architect. I'm like, you're kidding me. I'm like, do you have any idea what's coming? And he had no idea of all the new laws that were passed. He had, some little bit kind of a bulb in his head. But I said, yeah, do you realize what you're going to school for? How much work you're going to have?
Oh,
right.
Nice.
How about one last call before we hit the road, Rob?
Let's go to George.
Hey, George. George, real quick.
Oh, it looks like George dropped. Let's go to Michael.
Michael, how are you, Mike?
Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure thing.
I'll try to be quick. Over the past 6 months, I've become aware of a clubhouse being restored for millions and millions of dollars without the members voting. The board just voted it, and it was done. And in another situation, a sports complex with 8 new pickleball courts was taken from the capital improvement fund, and no board, no members voted on that either. I'm flabbergasted. How does this happen?
First of all, condo or in an HOA?
First was a condo, the second was an HOA.
When you say the first, what do you mean by the first and the second?
The first was the clubhouse that got built without members voting, and the second was the sports complex.
So
that got built without the members voting.
Okay, so the first, let's talk about that clubhouse in a condo. The question is going to be, was those modifications, right? Were they repairs, right? Or were they material alterations which require a vote? Okay, that's the first question. The second question is, I need to see what your documents say.
Yeah.
I don't know if the governing documents in your community allow the board some wiggle room to make certain material alterations, because I'll tell you what some other documents say. Some other documents say the board has up until $50,000 to make material alterations of their choice.
Okay.
Okay?
That's like carpet and
to
tile.
change colors and things,
Yeah.
but as long as it's not above that dollar amount, they can make those material alterations. Now, because I can't answer that question without knowing exactly what your documents say. Number two, you said the pickleball courts have to do with an HOA, right? HOA, keep in mind, basically, that there are no material alteration rules, right?
They can do whatever they want.
Basically, a board can do whatever they want without a community vote unless there's something very specific in the governing documents which would require a governing vote.
Which would be changing the color of the doors and the...
And again, in an HOA, maybe that's in there. Typically not.
Oh.
The board has wide discretion in an HOA to make these material alterations. The material alteration statute doesn't even exist in a condominium, in an HOA, okay? Doesn't even exist. Board has wide latitude. So to take a piece of property and to turn it into pickleball courts, what was the property before that? What was it used before that?
It was an older pickleball court.
So all they did was fix
ameliorated,
him up,
yeah.
right? So if all they did was fix him up,
Not a material.
no foul on the board, and not much you can do about it. And if it costs money to fix him up, then it costs money to fix it up. They have an obligation, in fact, to keep the property in good condition. There were pickleball courts before. They better do the right thing, and they better maintain them. That's their role, and it seems like the board realized it was a problem, and they fixed them up, and they did the right thing. All right, on that note, everybody, we are at the end of another week. Next week will be Super Bowl Sunday.
yes.
We'll make our predictions next week.
Okay.
We'll have some fun. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to another week of Condo Craze and HOAs. If you need legal help off the air, give our office a call. Glazer and Sachs, 954-983-1112. Again, 954-983-1112. And remember, we will see you Tuesday in Broward at the LNL convention, at the LNL
Condo and HOA. At the Signature Grand.
At the Signature Grand on Tuesday. And on Friday, we will see you all in Tampa at the LNL Condo and HOA exhibition. Really look forward to seeing you guys this week. And, of course, we'll speak to you again next Sunday at 11 a.m. on Condo Craze and HOAs. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, Eric.